All right, everybody, welcome to the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast. My name is Various Smith, and today I am with Bear Simerson, who is the CEO and founder of 3C Health. And I'll just let Bear introduce himself. Go ahead, and Bear, tell us about yourself.
My name is Bear Simerson. I'm the founder and CEO of 3C Health, and essentially, 3C Health is an in-home patient portal device that allows for hospitals to stay in communication with their patients, either through a high acute episode or or just through remote patient monitoring.
Awesome. So Bear is out in Palm Springs. He's here in the Inland Empire, and I actually connected with Bear over LinkedIn. And I saw he had some similar connections. I'm like, this dude is in the Inland Empire as well.
Yeah.
And so and then I was putting out some videos and stuff, and he's commented on my video, and we connected. We had a good phone call.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna let Bear go over a little bit about his himself and tell us about, like, Bear, who are you as a person? Where'd you grow up? You know, what kind of led you to the place where you wanted to become an entrepreneur and start up your business?
Yeah. God, that's a lot. No, I mean, I guess just in regards to like startups and business, my mom had she was always like a startup person. I can remember being young and her having trying to do her own clothing line, Mahana Wear, and just kind of continuing whatever endeavor it was. And I think most recently and most successful, she had this window cleaning business, just her and my dad.
Nice.
And they were cranking out some money out of that window cleaning business. She was just a hustler, and my dad was a hustler, and so them together was just a killer force. My mom brought the customer service, my dad brought the labor, and just maintained this excellent brand in window cleaning, and just built a life off of that, just them together. And so,
wow.
The freedom of that, and just seeing her hustling that, I don't know, it just, I guess, kind of got into me. It's not something that somebody would choose to do. This, this stuff is like crazy frustrating to do. And so I think the reason why I feel like I keep coming back to it is it's just maybe that building something for the family, building some sort of legacy for the family is always important, and most important now that I have kids. And so, as far as that business wise, I think that's probably where I get it from, and where I think it's driving more home now than ever with my own kids.
I love that, man. Like, legacy and something you can leave to your kids, for your kids. I think that's huge driver. That's actually one of the things that drove me to really start doing my own business and being an entrepreneur. So tell me about a little bit more. So you said, so your mom and your dad started a window cleaning business, and here you are, inspired by them, starting your own business as well. Yeah. So, I mean, no, that's really fascinating. That's amazing to me. What about the origin of your startup with 3C Health? You're into AI, you're into blockchain. Like, tell me about how you really got started on that.
Yeah. So it started back in 2016. My second daughter was born, and she was due for her next round of vaccinations. And I remember being at the doctor, and when he would ask questions about her prior medical history, or if she had this vaccine or that vaccine, or any other questions, I just kind of didn't know. And I felt really bad that I didn't know, because I should know these things, right? And so this thought of this universal patient portal was the thought. It was like, how come I don't have an application that I can immediately and in real time pick up my medical record of all the doctors that I've seen, all the dentists that I've seen, all the specialists that I've seen, my family, my kids, and all that they do, all that they have had done, no matter what provider that I go see. And so that was then, and working through that process, I started to see there's a big reason for why that is, and it's a lot of that these systems, for whatever reason, don't speak to each other, and so there's all of these complexities into how to integrate with all of these various systems, and it's just it's a huge, it's an expensive endeavor to try to do, which if the patient as the end consumer is not interested in their own health to take part in that, it's a waste of money. Why, when we can just have our own patient portal that's respectfully for that hospital system and represent our patients, rather than trying to integrate all of them together, you know what I mean? And so there was both those issues, but it still didn't change the fact that this is still a need, and so I don't know. It just kind of, like I said, I wasn't a developer. By trade, I think the most dominant skill I had was graphic design, and I think that really kind of put me in more of the patient's point of view than to say, like I just as a patient wanted this badly and was just mad that I didn't have it, and understood that, as far as applications nowadays, it's really, the design is going to be a very key factor into how we engage these patients long term, not just, when they need it or when they don't need it, but for, like I said, to invest the resources and money into develop something that patients will actually use. Design is going to be a huge factor in that. So I just kind of fell into play and connected with the individuals that I would need to help me. And one of the biggest ones was health data integration. I felt that if I had an expert in health data integration partner, then that would facilitate a lot of the real-time transmission of data, no matter where it was going. It just needed to get there fast, it needed to get there secure, and then we can worry about the user interface on either end. And so, so that was then, and just kind of kept building. Once I found that partner, just kind of kept building and identifying the different entities that we needed to connect to, and the different, I would say, partners, whether it be payers and, health system partners, the actual electronic medical record systems that are in the hospitals, those partners to connect to make sure we integrate everything. So we worked with that process, and then COVID hit. and then it was like shift, like telehealth now, virtual care, peripheral devices in the home now, like remote patient monitoring. Now remote patient monitoring is reimbursed, and they're opening up the credentials for providers to provide telehealth in other states. And there was just whole new shift to virtual care, what I mean? And so we just kind of meshed with that and tried to provide what we could, right? We started to develop the telehealth portal to facilitate that. Then we built a COVID screening tool. So, if providers had a patient that they thought may have been infected, then they could send them this questionnaire, and then we could pre-register them so they don't have to come into the clinic. And then remote patient monitoring was a huge thing, and sending peripheral devices, peripheral blood pressure monitors, or Bluetooth enabled blood oximeters, or glucose. And so now providers needed to be able to attach themselves to these data sets, to these devices, to pull this data to monitor their patient without them coming into the clinic. And then CMS started to reimburse for this service. So now you're seeing, a huge influx in just remote patient monitoring services. But what's happening is COVID just forced this new normal. That it's their care is just going to be administered in the home. It's coming. It's healthcare is so ripe for this, and COVID just pushed it there, right? That it forced providers to experience what it's like to provide telehealth on a more consistent basis, and what that revenue looks like. And then also, patients are now used to telehealth. They're used to the RPM model. It's providing better care. Obviously, you got better patient satisfaction. I mean, on and on, right?
Yeah.
Anything more convenient for us, we're all, we're on board.
Yeah.
And healthcare is just right there. So, with all of that, and with COVID and the push, we said, you know what? Okay, We have dealt with the infrastructure aspect of developing the referral coordination and how to facilitate the transmission of data to get to the patient and back to the provider. So we solidified that foundation. We've identified that, we can attach ourselves to a lot of these devices. We can be device agnostic as long as it has a Bluetooth enabled connection or a cellular connection. We can tap into it. And then we're saying, and obviously with our love for blockchain and AI, adding the blockchain as that solid security piece and the AI as that constant running that intelligence on all of this data sets and helping the provider to provide better recommendations for care. We said we have to be that hub. Let's provide the actual device that is the hub, that is secure enough and robust enough to allow for a large scale as virtual care becomes much more prominent. There has to be that hub that all of them connect to, that can facilitate that quick transfer, keep the blockchain, keep it secure, and then AI aspect to run recommendations quick, efficient on both ends. And so that's where we came up with this smart hub home. Yeah.
Okay, so to encapsulate everything, Smart Hub Home is what brings everything together.
Yes.
Okay, and Smart Hub Home is a place that people who are receiving home health care, they can understand all of the. Say that one more time for me, because there's a lot of information, a lot of things that are in there.
I just kind of like threw it out to it. Feel free to cut me off, but yeah. So essentially, there has to be. So for remote patient monitoring, it focuses on chronic patients.
So
it focuses on diabetes, chronic patients. And then so as far as being a reimbursable service, that's out of the use of the RPM, program that we put those patients on.
RPM stands for?
Remote patient monitoring.
Remote patient monitoring. Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, what we're seeing is that there's a bunch of different RPM models, and they have their own devices, and they'll send that information typically back to the provider directly in their EHR. And so what we're seeing
is
electronic health record system. It's the computer system within the hospital.
Okay, so the remote patient monitoring system that you guys have set up sends back the electronic health records.
Say that one more time.
The remote patient monitoring system that you guys have will send back the electronic health records to the hospitals. Am I correct or?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll be that direct connection to those systems.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
The Inland Empire startup ecosystem industry is tremendously fragmented. A few top-tier hubs, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego, are well covered by media, events, and data platforms. Finding reliable information relevant to startups or the tech industry in the Inland Empire is extremely difficult. As a result, startups can't scale fast enough. Investors are having a hard time finding the right deals, and corporates can't find the right companies to partner with for their innovation activities. Startempire Wire, the leading Inland Empire startup publication, is providing the Inland Empire startup ecosystem with the most accurate, engaging business and financial data, events, and news. Our reach of entrepreneurs, C-level executives, angels, VC investors, startup employees, key management at innovative corporates, and big tech is the solution for your B2B or B2C needs. As we build out our platform, we're looking for partners. This is your opportunity to get in on the ground level. If you're looking to align yourself with the local and growing startup and tech ecosystem of the Inland Empire, we have created the platform to get your name noticed and the opportunity for you to grow the recognition of your brand. Contact us today for availability and pricing options. We look forward to our partnership with you. All right, so you guys have built the actual software platform for this?
Yes.
And the hardware platform for this?
Correct.
Yes. Okay, so that's where your startup currently is.
Yes.
And so, awesome. That's pretty cool. So, and you're facilitating all of that on the software level with AI and blockchain.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's
Wait, and you had to develop APIs to integrate with all of these other devices.
Yes. And that's through that partner that I was mentioning that was very crucial because they've layered a lot of those bridges already.
Okay.
That it kind of finding that right one, and that was the goal.
Oh.
It was, like I said, it was so complex that we really need to find who was the dominant player and who had the closest thing to what we would see as being eventually like regulated at the federal level. You know what I mean? So we could be as close to, and we think we found that. So it allows the hub to, not only in the remote patient monitoring setting, send that data to the provider, but because we've now found this partner for the connection of all these EHR systems, then we can now, like I mentioned in the beginning, my concern was not having that one hub for all of my information.
Okay.
So now because we can layer these connections with these health record systems, now we can pull, as long as we have the basic patient demographic information, we can pull what records they have from other sources and really, integrate. Make that their main hub for all of their health data.
That's pretty big. That's and all of like I would say like HIPAA law compliance, all of that is kept intact as well. Like what's your any concern there or no?
No, I think that's what was really exciting about the blockchain aspect of it is our partner for blockchain is First IQ, and their platform is already HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant.
Nice.
And so that with already utilizing them, it's just an added benefit. But that's another reason why the development team that we chose specifically had worked with data transmission, healthcare data transmission.
Okay.
So we made sure that every piece of the development was not only to standard, but like I said, to the federal regulation standard, because that's where we want to be. We want to be at that standard to where it is the security and the privacy aspect of the device and the software can scale, and that's where we talk about blockchain and Bitcoin.
Yes.
And Bitcoin is a great example. I see Bitcoin as, I feel like it's as valuable as it's not being hacked, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It holds its value there.
They call it immutable, and so
exactly.
Yeah.
And as long as that it holds that tight foundation, and everybody on top can agree that this foundation is solid and we can transact. We don't have anything like that for healthcare, and that's what we need that, but it needs to be in its own device that doesn't have. We feel that with other devices, there's still vulnerabilities in the security.
Right. Well, and I guess the only concern that I've heard about Bitcoin or the blockchain security concern would be quantum computers, which that's another topic, right?
Yes.
So for those of you who are listening who may have heard GDPR compliance is just a privacy law as well. So it just basically they've got all their bases covered. So 3C Health, 3C Health.
Yes.
Um, right now we went more into like some of the needs that your startup meets, but do you have anything else from like the level of like needs that your startup meets at this point, like that you want to cover and talk about?
I would say in like as far as right now, it's the needs that it meets is remote patient monitoring as
Okay.
at its basic at its most fundamental value right now. We can go into any hospital or health system and fully launch a remote patient monitoring program for them and their patients, and the provider has to do minimal work to get that going, and we can generate that revenue. And the revenue piece of it is a great thing, but we see it as just the first piece to be building that infrastructure for this virtual care model. RPM is just that initial need that we can meet right off the bat, and it's less risk for them as that additional revenue source. So we think it's a great strategy as our go-to market right now.
Man, that's a win. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the growth of 3C Health. Have you changed things as you've gone along? Like, what have been some of the like growing pains that you have had experience? And, I know you kind of covered a little bit of this already, but let's go a little bit more in depth of your growth
Yeah.
up to this point.
Yeah. And that's why I want to, that's why I want to stress kind of my background. And I don't know if that's going to hurt me or help me in this situation, but I think I really want to speak to, especially in our community and new business owners that are going to create that economic wealth in our own communities for our children,
Mm-hmm.
But, it was, like I said, it was that lack of education and lack of understanding of the resources and it really came from this competition that we won. We did speak on this, but there was a competition a few months back that I entered and I won. And as a result,
What was the name of it?
it was the fast pitch.
Okay.
Fast pitch.
Where was it at? It was a fast pitch competition. Where?
Fast pitch competition. It was in the desert. The first one was in the desert. The second one
iHub?
was in.
Was it
Yes.
iHub? Okay.
It was iHub and UCR together.
UCR together. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were
So
the finalist, or you the grand prize winner?
I won that local one, and then I tied first place with this other gentleman who had an educational startup, and so as a result of that, it connected me with a few key individuals that, again, gave me that knowledge that I so desperately needed, and it just helped guide that direction for the business.
Any
That
names? Any names of those individuals you want to drop?
Ted Daniels.
Okay.
Ted Daniels has been just instrumental, great mentor. He was one of the judges at the first competition. And I tell this story a lot, but I just say, the first time when I'm hearing after the first contestant win and the judges started to ask questions, as soon as he started to speak, I knew, I was like, I heard that tone, I heard the question. I was like, I got to know that man. I got to know
That's
that man
awesome.
right there. And he just kind of took to me and really just restructured my focus on to build a real business. Like the idea is fine, but the execution is a whole other thing. And he got me straight and narrowed and said, you have to focus on these areas and do not get lost in other things. And so that, like I said, those key things I think were instrumental in that.
What are those key things that you can tell me about that you guys had to really focus on and lock down on? This is all about the growth. So.
Yeah. And I think we're still doing it now, but it's like, so as in the business of healthcare, as far as a startup that's in healthcare, I think the biggest thing was, coming into a system that's chaotic, right? It was already a mess, and so now it's even worse. It's even more congested, and providers are having to, kind of pick up the pieces and retrain their own workflows for this new model. And so I would say the industry itself has barriers to adoption of innovation. So, us coming in, what's difficult for us is really trying to target our customers very precisely, so we're not wasting anybody's time, and really kind of get to the key people that really need this and can see the benefit of it. And so that's been difficult, just because we're trying to understand what the product offering we're trying to provide them, and make sure we're very precise about that. And like I said, including remote patient monitoring as that catalyst to kind of get things going, we think can mitigate a lot of that concern for them on the healthcare level. On the startup level, I think the team is big.
Okay.
Especially as a startup, the team's you gotta all be hungry. You gotta all be hungry, all understand what you're striving for, understand who's leading, understand your role, and get those contracts in place. Get those contracts in place.
So no, I get that. So the leadership part is, would you say the leadership part is like one of the biggest parts of it?
Oh yeah, and I think that's what Ted really helped me understand as far as the business. Even down to the org chart. He's like, I know you like these people or whoever your team is, and that's fine. He said, but you have to really focus on the job description, focus on what's needed for the business. To make the business successful, and then identify the individual that fits that skill set, and can you guys work together on other levels, and then make the decision. And so it just, as you have to think in terms of the business, and he had me rearrange my thought, and you can have all these great ideas and this vision, but you have to think about it operationally, and how it will succeed. When you start, especially when you start bringing in investor money, you're going to be responsible for other people's money, and you want to make sure that plan, if that business plan is as tight as possible. Once you get that business plan as tight as possible, then you have that's like just a tool that you can then you go to war with. That's your weapon right there.
That's really good. And I don't think we dissect words enough sometimes, because the CEO is a chief executive officer. You got to execute. So, that's really good. That's really good. It's like I said, team wise, it's even rough too, right? Because I'm a very calm person. I'm not a confrontational person by any means. You may cut me off in line, I might, excuse me, sir. Like, I'm just not that person. Lay back.
Yeah. And it's you have to protect your business. You have to protect it. You have to grow it, and you have to make those decisions. Like a parent, you have to just make those decisions, and that's a skill in itself. That's
good, because like think of you're thinking about growth. Sometimes for things to grow, you need to prune things, and like you can't keep dead weight on the line. It's like that's that executive execution. I mean, executive office. You got to execute. And it's not always that, but it's just sometimes. You like growing. Just in nature, you prune things, or that's really good.
That's what we're honestly trying to build in this software. Is we just see a lot of fat, a lot of duplicate efforts, and these efforts are not secure, and these things fall by the wayside, and there's nothing to monitor them to keep them all together, and we're burning resources and labor to facilitate all of these different things. And we just feel that just decent technology can take care of a lot of this, and not to take away jobs in the place, but just to retrain. We feel like, and refocus the care teams on the best care for the patient. Let the computer do a lot of the manual work, and let the care team become more involved with the care. Let them do the manual efforts, and they can do it much more efficiently, and securely, and cost effective. And we can spend the money other side, but the tech is big, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you are like a fan of like Peter Thiel, he
Mm,
has a book Zero to One, and
mm,
in the book Zero to One, Peter Thiel talks about globalization versus new technology, and how globalization basically will take technology that exists and make it global. But new
mm,
technology is what leads to that new innovation, and that new technology leads to better outcomes, you know?
mm.
And so what's more of a need is not globalization more than like new technology, new ways of doing things in innovative ways. So with what you guys are doing, it sounds to me like creating those efficient processes or making things more efficient with the technology that you're building will lead to, you know, better outcomes and less of a, you know, stress, you know. And
Yeah,
so especially
yeah,
the AI part of it, right?
yes, yes. The AI part, I'm really excited, man. Like very
That's cool.
excited because it should be good. Should be hope. Want it to be helpful, so we think it will be. So we're
That's
excited.
awesome. So, all right. So, we spent quite a bit of time on that point. Let's move on to talking about like, because I really want to.
Got
I
the
want to talk a
sun.
little bit. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is
Make
the
it.
sun all right for you?
I
I feel
think.
like
I think you're good. I think you're
is it
good.
all right?
Actually,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
unless it's bothering you, I think you're fine. Uh, all right. So, tell us a little bit about like your current needs. Like, where are you at as a startup with like, what are your like primary pain points of needs, you know, well, actually start from like, okay, what were those needs in the beginning and how have they come to where you're at right now? Like, what are those current needs for your startup?
Team has always been, I think, the biggest thing, and finding a team as a startup, and no money, and please work on this vision with me, and you know what I mean. So
Right.
team is big, and a good team, like not only the skill set, but again, hungry enough to kind of you know help you, and not like just kind of just be there. You know what I mean? It's big, and um, I think that we're definitely got a good foundation going now, but I think moving forward, it will always be, you know, I would say more on the data scientist piece, and the more of the
Mm.
AI algorithm, working on that next best talent. And I'm sure that we're in a huge competition with every other company trying to grab at that. In addition to trying to grab talent for blockchain
Yeah.
development as well, you know what I mean? And but we think that we found some really great partners that know how to mesh the two with healthcare data, which is again a very specific,
Unique set of needs.
very dangerous, very risky.
Mm.
It's not just another application. We're talking about actual people's lives, and we're talking
Nice.
about in specific high acuity, high risk settings. So,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
team's big, and finding. We've been talking with a few medical partners that we're looking to kind of partner with to roll this out officially. And so, fingers crossed on that we get that. We're excited about that one. But
That's
I
huge.
think that's a big thing. That's a big thing, is that validation.
Validation.
We need that validation. We need, I need that validation. It's been a long
Yes.
time. It's been a long building, and I know we're there. We've got the right people in place that, and the right people that have validated this concept.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just kind of, getting the right ears, and sending the right message,
Mm-hmm.
is a big thing too.
So market validation and the team.
Yes.
Like, where are you kind of recruiting when you look for teams? Are you going to local colleges and things like that, or
Yeah, colleges, and the usual, like Upwork. I've found a lot of good stuff, and then regular
Upwork Capital?
connections.
Yeah, Upwork. Surprisingly,
Come on. I mean, I haven't been, quick, efficient, and easy to work with. They're grouping up to be way more quicker and
yeah,
cheaper, and
yeah.
you know, I like Upwork. You know.
I I know, and like one of my intentions, and I love working with Upwork, like all of my current team, because when you're a startup, when you're just getting into something, you may not have a lot of money to. Most startups don't have a lot of money. You're not
No.
making any money, you know.
Right.
And so
Right.
getting a team that you can afford, which the next step, like personally, I think, colleges and stuff like that for what
Yep.
I'm doing. So that's kind of the reason why I asked you, are you reaching into some of these colleges? Because you know, I
Yeah.
know that's a good way to, put them, like their metal, or put the test, put them to the test,
Early.
early. Yeah.
Early. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was having a discussion with Scott Brofsky from Epic from UCR,
Yeah.
uh,
Scott.
and I love Scott because Scott will tell it to me straight of like, again, another person like Ted Daniels is just like been in the tech world, been around VCs, just
Uh
not play
huh.
around. This is what you are. This is what you need to figure out. This is what they want to see. Blah blah. And so,
Yes.
um, he had said, um, I forgot what I was gonna say. He was saying he
Was it
told
about
me.
the college interns or?
Yes. So he was saying about the talent. He was saying um, that again, you're in high competition with everybody for an AI developer and soon to be for
Oh
blockchain,
yeah.
and to
Yeah.
go to the colleges, try to go early, talk to the professors, see who's, maybe a rising star over there, and
Mm-hmm.
let them know what you're trying to build as well. Even the professors could be interested in becoming a part of a future paper or something like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, definitely the colleges and community colleges for sure too. Like I already talked to Laura at CVEP, and
Uh
you
huh.
know any we shouldn't limit. We should just
Shouldn't
look for
limit.
talent, period.
Yeah, I met a few talented data science researchers here, in the Riverside area as
Nice.
part of the Excite accelerator. So I believe UCR is leading when in pumping out like AI, like our data science researchers. Am I frozen again? No, I thought I was frozen again.
Really?
Well, that's what someone told me that, but I may be wrong. But I know
I have to
like
check into that.
yeah, I know like batteries. They have like a lot of battery students. I know one girl who has a startup, young lady who has a startup with battery, like increasing the efficiency of battery technologies and stuff like that.
Love it.
So
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah, you should definitely reach out to UCR, and of course Scott Bropsky works at UCR as well. So
He's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. But I didn't hear that statistic. That's cool. That's really cool.
yeah, so tell me a little bit about, like, I know you covered this, but let's be specific. Your immediate short term goals that you're focused on accomplishing at this moment.
Um, it's landing this one of these three partners.
Mm, yes.
That's
Okay.
that's that's the goal. I
Top
mean,
top of the priority.
yes. I mean, yes, because that's exactly what we need to propel other initiatives as well.
So the MVP is already complete.
Yes,
Okay. Cool.
yes,
Awesome.
yes. And so, um, we initially um, we initially had it on just a tablet, and then
Okay.
that picture that I showed you, we could share that on the video. It
Yes.
is that was that new design that we were working on, because we initially had a tablet, and so that's what we're waiting for that to be finished, and that should be finished by the end of
That's the one
October.
pager. That's the one pager
That's the
you
one
showed me.
pager. Yeah.
Okay.
So you
Cool.
can see
Yeah.
that thing in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's yeah, it's slick, man. All right. Cool. So tell me, what about long term? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Where do you want your startup to be?
I saw this, and ultimately, just I want it to, at its basic level, just to be a fast and a secure platform that facilitates um, healthcare data efficiently from one party to the next.
Hmm.
Um, where it needs to go fast, and having that intelligence right above all of it to give that extra tool to the provider, just that extra data driven recommendation, whether they use it or not, just as an added piece to just to back them up. I would like for healthcare to just be embedded with that, and if we can be one of the platforms that facilitates that, then I'm game. But I think that it can really just clean up a lot of different things, and that's a very complex vision. There's so much in that, but long term, that's what we'd like to do, and we feel that identifying where the need is currently allows us to provide the product that can facilitate that need, and as a result can potentially facilitate the platform that we need to do something like that. So
you think that would be like maybe 10 years or 5 years or 3? So 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
I say 3 years. That 3 years. 3 years. I feel like 3 years we will have a strong presence in like the Riverside market.
Okay, so gaining that traction first.
Yeah. Okay. I think that we would have, and when I would say we would have launched RPM for a significant amount of the population in Riverside, and looking to scale from there.
Okay. All right, five years.
5 years. We are helping to facilitate full hospital at home for hospitals.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 years.
And then 10 years would be, like I said, I envision my envision is our device or others like it that kind of has the same protocols within it begin to overtake, or at least readily connect to the existing electronic medical record systems in the hospitals. Okay. I just think it would be if we can gain the engagement and the adoption of the patients and really build a more advanced system that takes care of a lot of those manual works that a lot of the legacy systems have currently.
Yes.
I could totally see providers just switching over because it's just an easier, everything's already connected. So, that's big vision. But
that's great. Awesome. So tell us where we can find information about you and information about your startup online.
Cool. So just 3c.health. You can reach out to me on there. My own company, Simerson Industries, simersonindustries.com. We build blockchain and AI applications like healthcare and different products, and healthcare is our big one to start, but we have a couple more down in the pipeline as well. Nice. So we have to talk about that some other time.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, just 3c.health and at the Simersons on IG, and that's it. LinkedIn, Bear Simerson on LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn's big. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So
awesome. LinkedIn has gotten way more popular lately.
It's fun, man. I enjoy it now.
Yes.
I don't even go on social media anymore. I just go. I brought the app to my forefront. I'm like,
man. Same here, man. Yeah. Well, Bear, I really appreciate you coming on the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast. We will have you back on in the future. And to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Please go look up Bear, connect with him. And investors, if you're watching this, talk with Bear, invest. Any other needs that he mentioned. So again, come back next time and see you again on the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast. Have a great day, guys. Peace.
Thanks, guys.